Hi, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Judy Shelton.
And you live where?
I live in Berkeley.
Berkeley, California.
Yeah.
And what's your role in this year's Berkeley elections?
Okay, so I am on the Progressive Affordable Housing Rent Board slate in Berkeley.
Okay. And so, what are your goals in the progressive slate?
Well, we are, in the broadest sense, there to uphold the rent board ordinance, but we specifically have goals of doing something about earthquake safety because we have some very unsafe buildings in a very active earthquake area here in Berkeley. We want to continue to improve outreach, continue to improve the front desk service, which we've been working on, the three incumbents on this slate, and make sure that the small landlords, those with 4 or fewer units, get very good service because they can't afford lawyers. And we're aware that there's a real problem with a lot of them economically because it takes some doing.
So and can you talk a little bit about how your slate was established? How did it form?
Right, yes, sure. So we were elected at a grassroots convention in July of this year. There were about 200 people, mixed group consisting of house owners, some landlords, and tenants. And they, in a ranked choice voting system that we've established over the years, pick the 4 candidates that they want to fill the 4 empty positions that are coming up now for rent board.
Oh, okay.
So grassroots process.
Amazing. Is this your first time on this slate?
I'm an incumbent right now. I'm one of 3 out of the 4 of us on this slate are incumbents. So I've been working on the issues that I started to enumerate for some time now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how's the race?
Well, it's turned out to be more exciting than we had envisioned since we have an opposition slate. One of the sitting commissioners peeled off and decided to start her own slate instead of becoming part of the grassroots community process. And she's being backed by landlords, she and her slate.
Wow. So when you say by landlords, how are they different from your slate?
Well, first of all, the slate is composed of only one true tenant, the way we evaluate, or the way we would define tenant. There's one woman who owns a couple of properties at least in Berkeley. Another one lives with her boyfriend, so we don't consider that a tenant. Another one is renting an apartment, but he owns 20% of some rental property in another city. And there's only one, the one who's actually a tenant, although they call themselves Tenants United for fairness. They're really not mostly tenants at all.
And so do you think that their priorities and their goals are different from those of your slate?
No, they've made it very clear that their priorities and their goals are different. They're basically what they are. Their whole platform is a grand jury report that came out a few months ago, deeply critical of Berkeley Rent Board. And this report, the people who did this report, who wrote up this report, didn't seem to really understand a lot of the issues that made our rent board what it is and what the differences are between different kinds of rent board systems.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then my next question is, what happened recently from the city council level with regard to this race?
Oh, okay. So what's one of the interesting things about this opposition slate is that they have the support of quite a few of Berkeley City Council who are, many of them are very conservative compared to a lot of other Berkeley people. And one of these city council people who is endorsing the slate, Gordon Wozniak, sent out an email, I believe it was yesterday, and I happened to get this in my inbox, and this email was deeply misinformed, either by design or out of ignorance. I don't know which, and I don't know which is worse, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
But the allegations are that if, or the, I don't know what to call what it was, but he said that if Berkeley citizens vote for our slate, that we are going to put every rental unit in Berkeley under some form of, okay, I'm blocking, registration fees.
Is that true?
It is not true. But he made it look like every kind of rental unit you can think of, including dorms,
Mhm.
you know, including condominiums, that everything was going to be assessed a $194 per unit registration fee.
And that's not part of
It
your...
is not. We have talked about getting some kind of universal registration only to recoup expenses for eviction protection and rental housing safety, which almost all tenants of Berkeley enjoy.
Mhm.
We feel that all property owners should be paying for those services specifically. But the kind of registration Gordon Wozniak is calling for is not legal, has never been discussed as a possibility, and whatever we do, in any case, we don't even have the authority to do it as a rent board. We have to do this through the city council, even to pay for those limited services I was just talking about.
So does that affect anything with the way that you run your campaign right now?
Well, we're not sure what we're going to do, but what it does do is it stirs up a lot of fear. That was that email. That was the purpose of the email, to generate fear in the voters, so that they would vote for the opposition slate.
Mhm.
You know, to make us look so extreme and so and so dangerous that they would vote for the other slate. But there's no truth in what he's saying.
Mhm. Mhm. Dirty politics.
Yes, dirty politics.
Yeah.
And I don't I don't know how he does it, how people do things like that and still feel okay about themselves.
The ethics are
Exactly.
missing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Where are the ethics of a person who somehow feels justified in spreading profound misinformation in order to get some candidates in? It's very irresponsible, and again, it either shows a total lack of understanding of what the powers of the rent board are, as well as what the interests of the rent board are, or it shows that he's deliberately not telling the truth. I don't know which it is.
Mhm.
You know?
Discouraging. I mean, you hope at Berkeley, at least the politics will be a little cleaner.
You would hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you want to tell us a little bit more about what it's been like being on the housing board in the last?
On the rent board?
I mean, yeah, on the rent board.
It's been a really interesting experience for me. When I first came on the board, I really didn't understand the situation of small landlords who are really in a different category than the really large multiple unit landlords who own many, many, many units. They're in a different class altogether than these small people who just maybe have family, things that have been passed down through their family, just augmenting their income a little bit or something. They're in a much different classification. And I became sensitized to that working on the board. We had we had many of them come before us over the years, and I began to understand how difficult it is for them, and that's why we've changed our services at the customer level, and we started a series of workshops. I work in the outreach committee, and outreach is really just about my favorite thing, and we started this series of workshops completely we got a committee over here devoted to these smaller property owners who need a lot of help to navigate rent board regulations, because it is complex and they can't afford legal help.
So you learned a lot being on the rent board already.
I have. My perspective has changed.
Yeah. And you're ready to serve again.
I am ready to serve again. I think what's really interesting is that this other rent board slate completely ignores everything we've done for landlords, and they keep talking about how landlords need help and nobody cares about the landlords, and that we have made a point out of that in the last 4 years to address those issues, and they completely negating the whole thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
how frustrating.
Very frustrating.
Oh, wow. Well, so there are 3 other people on the progressive slate with you?
There are.
Do you want to describe a little bit about your team?
Sure. There's Igor Tregub, and he's an incumbent, and he's been really instrumental in working with students at Cal, and he has helped develop a mentorship program, both the one that the rent board uses, and he has his own private,
Wow.
mentees that he's very good with the students. And he's also done foreclosure workshop. He's a very active guy. And then there's Asa Dodsworth, and he's very interested in, very enmeshed in his own community, very active. Everybody in his community knows Asa. And he's very interested in green issues and in earthquake safety. And then there's Alejandro Soto Vigel, and he's the vice chair of the Berkeley Housing Commission.
Oh, okay.
And he's very interested in housing issues, as you would expect, and also green issues, and very active guy. He's also Chris Worthington's legislative assistant.
Wow, sounds like an amazing, pretty solid group.
Pretty smart people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, well, good luck, and thank you so much for your service.
No, thank you.